Hey there, my name is Megan and welcome to my channel, or welcome back. Today I'm going to be doing the Finally Fall book tag. This is a book tag that I do every year. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump on into the prompts. The first prompt is give a book recommendation with a vivid setting. And for this, I'm going to go with The Only One Left by Riley Sager, which is an adult thriller. By the way, if I have reviews for any of the books that I discussed in this tag, I will link them up in the cards as well as in the description box below. The setting in The Only One Left is coastal Maine in the US. So Maine is the topmost state in the Northeast. I have been there. It's absolutely beautiful. The main setting is a Gothic type mansion called Hope's End. It is very isolated, but not only that, but the mansion is actually decaying. The mansion is described as having some of the roof is missing, some of the windows are boarded up. It is about to fall into the ocean. So the floor is described as having like a tilt. In addition to that, it also makes all of these creepy creaks and groans and all of these noises. And it really reminded me of The Haunting of Hill House and the way that Shirley Jackson described Hill House. I think that's one of the reasons that I like this book so much was because of the setting and just the way that Riley Sager incorporated Hope's End and its decay into the entire story. Hey y'all, if you are enjoying this video, please consider hitting this subscribe button as well as giving this video a like to throw my channel a little bit of support. Also, I am the author of the independently published book Aftermath, which currently has a 4.41 rating on Goodreads. I would love it if you clicked on the link in the description box. It'll take you to the book on Amazon so you can read through the synopsis and some of the reviews people have left to see if it is a book that might speak to you and something that you would want to read to help support an indie author. Thank you guys so much. Prompt 2 is to give a book recommendation that is beautifully written but deals with a heavy topic, and I'm going to go with Thirsty Ground by Kimber St. Lawrence. But this is a young adult sci-fi, and I don't always read the author's notes in books, but I just happen to read this one. What this book deals with is paralysis and paraplegia. The author talks about how her husband was in an accident, and because of that accident became a paraplegic, and all of the things that they went through inspired her to write some of the elements of this book. Even though this is a YA sci-fi, she did incorporate those personal experiences into the story. So she did a great job incorporating a heavy topic that a lot of us don't deal with into a young adult sci-fi setting. Prompt 3 is a nonfiction book that taught you something new, and I actually just finished this one yesterday. This is Ina May's Guide to Childbirth, and I got this from my library. She is a midwife that has overseen, I think, 1,200 births at this point, and she's still living. She's in her 80s. But this is just a compilation of, well, lots of different things. The first probably 150 pages of this book are birth stories from some of her patients and how this midwife has helped them, but then she goes into obviously the science and anatomy and physiology of childbirth, as well as some modern day practices, medicines and interventions that are used, how they help and how they hurt, and then some ways that midwifery and some of the practices that they use can actually be beneficial in the birth process. So I learned quite a bit and do recommend if you are looking to have a child or currently with child or maybe just curious about this topic. Prompt 4 is a fictional family group that you would want to be a part of, and I'm actually going to go with Lucan and Flea from the Silver Blood Promise. This is a newer fantasy story that came out last year, and it follows Lucan, who is a noble, kind of like an estranged noble, and he actually finds out that his father has been murdered, and he decides to investigate his father's murder, even though they haven't really had a relationship for a long time. And he is taken to this magical city. All the clues lead him there. And in the process, he comes across a young girl. I think she's about 11. She is a pickpocket, street urchin type character. And he kind of takes her under his wing. And the two of them develop this really, really cute, like older brother, younger sister type relationship. And they work together to start solving the father's murder. I really, really liked this book. I was pleasantly surprised by how much I liked it, and I'm really looking forward to the sequel, which comes out, I believe, in November. The next prompt is to recommend a book wherein a person is telling a story, and I'm going to be recommending Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. In this book, we mainly have Victor Frankenstein telling his story about creating his monster to an explorer, but it does have that very much story within a story structure. In addition to this story being set up with chapters, there are also parts of the story that are set up as letters. So it definitely contributes to that story within a story narration style. And I also think that Frankenstein is a great book to read around the spooky holiday season anyway. The next prompt is to recommend a dark, creepy read, and I'm going to go with one of the books that I just finished, and that is The 13th Child by Aaron A. Craig. The reason that I think this is a dark, creepy read is because we are following our main character, Hazel, who is literally adopted by the god of death. While that might sound a little bit ominous, the two of them do develop like a father-daughter type relationship, but there are some limitations because Merrick, the god of death, is a god and he doesn't quite think and act like Immortal does. But this book also deals with ghosts. Every time Hazel has to kill someone, they end up following her around as a ghost, and the way that they are described by the author is definitely creepy. In addition to that, we do deal with a mysterious illness that is passing through this kingdom, and Hazel, as a healer, has to find a cure. And the disease is like nothing I've really read ever in a book. What Aaron A. Craig created with regards to this plague was really unique and sometimes quite gross in how she described what it did to the human body. But I really enjoyed this book, and I definitely think it lends itself to a dark, creepy read. The next prompt is to recommend a short, heartwarming read. This was actually really hard for me to pinpoint because I don't tend to read, number one, a lot of super short books, and number two, cozy, heartwarming type stories. But I decided to go with Persuasion by Jane Austen. I read this book, I think, last year, and it follows a girl named Anne, and she was in love with her beau, Captain Wentworth, when she was 19 years old, and she was persuaded by friends and family because Wentworth wasn't like rich and established in society yet. She was persuaded by them to cut off the engagement. However, she never really fell out of love with him, and fast forward almost 10 years later, the two of them are accidentally reconnected. He's returned from the Napoleonic Wars successful and wealthy. Now that they're back in each other's lives, they have to confront the hurt that they caused each other when Anne broke off the engagement. And the ultimate question is, can the two of them overcome their past in order to rekindle their love for each other? For a Jane Austen novel, this definitely has all of the elements that are associated with her type of storytelling and writing in a shorter, heartwarming story. And the last prompt is an old favorite that you keep returning to, and I'm actually going to just discuss a book that I want to reread because the two books that I've read multiple times, two of my top favorites, are The Outsiders and The Hobbit, and I've talked about them ad nauseum on my channel, so I'm not going to repeat myself. But a book that I've been interested in rereading that kind of fits into this prompt is Dracula by Bram Stoker. I have had this book forever. The cover is absolutely hideous. I would love to get an updated version of this. I need to see if Barnes & Noble has a BN Classic edition of this story that might match some of the other BN Classic editions that I have. Honestly, I just want to experience the story again because I'm older, wiser, and really don't remember much of my experience going through it the first time. Okay, you guys, that is it for the Finally Fall book tag. Let me know in the comments any of your responses to these particular prompts. Let me know if you have any fall book recommendations, or tell me what you're reading this fall or hope to read. Once again, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in another video soon. Goodbye!